There's a cardboard box sitting in someone's closet right now, unopened, that is worth more than my car. Honestly, more than most people's cars. Magic the Gathering's Lord of the Rings collector booster box, the fancy ones from back in 2023, are now trading for over $10,000. Not per card, per box. 12 packs. These things were $1,800 a year ago. Just $2,500 as recent as February. And then somebody paid 12 grand for one at the tail end of June. Because apparently that's a thing that just happens now. Inside, you've got a shot at a serialized one ring worth up to $7,500 on its own. So technically, you could crack the box open and still be down money, which is a genuinely incredible way to be bad at capitalism. Everyone's pointing to the upcoming Hobbit set as the reason collectors have completely lost their minds all over again. Anyways, I'm Ben, this is Board Shark News, and somehow this week gets weirder. Let's get into it. Here are our top stories for the week. Czech Games Edition's Kingdom Come Deliverance board game and the CEO who showed his math. Speaking of prices that make you wince, Czech Games Edition, the studio behind Codenames and Through the Ages, is turning the video game Kingdom Come Deliverance into a board game. And on paper, it's genuinely exciting. Designers Vlada Shvalta, I'm not going to get these right, and Thomas Holek teaming up for the first time ever, a 13.5-pound box, deck building and light RPG bits, 5 days of story content, premiering at Spiel Essen in October. Shvalta himself said working on it has been pure joy, which, sure, easy for him to say. He's not the one paying $200 for it. Because here's the catch. It's $200 in the US and roughly $170 in Europe. And the $30 gap set off a genuinely sizable argument online. Over 400 upvotes on our board games sizable. So CGE's CEO, Peter Murmak, did something publishers almost never do. He actually showed his math, publicly, on Board Game Geek. Walked through the exact exchange rate, the exact 15% import tariff, multiplied it all out, and landed almost exactly on $199.99. It's oddly refreshing to watch a company just explain the number instead of shrugging and blaming the economy. Almost worth noting, container shipping rates out of China jumped over 60% in the last month alone. So if you thought it was a one-time price hike, buckle up. They're just apparently getting started. Magic the Gathering Arena team votes to unionize. In genuinely significant news, the team behind Magic the Gathering Arena voted to unionize. They're calling themselves United Wizards of the Coast, affiliating with the Communication Worker of America, and the vote wasn't close. 79 in favor, 16 against out of 100 ballots cast. This follows Wizards' parent company Hasbro declining to voluntarily recognize the union back in May, and per the union's own statements, bringing in a law firm known specifically for fighting organizing drives. So the next step is contract negotiations, which, given that setup, probably aren't going to be quick. Friendly conversations. Worth keeping an eye on, Arena is one of the biggest digital card games on the planet, and this is one of the larger organization wins in the TCG industry has seen so far. Wild Holdings buys Battle Foam. Meanwhile, the great Wargaming Consolidation continues. Wild Holdings, the parent company of Wayland Games, just bought Battle Foam, the Arizona outfit that makes basically all the foam storage cases your miniatures are currently setting in. This is Wild's second acquisition in about 6 months after picking up gaming mat maker Kraken Wargames earlier this year, and their portfolio now includes Wayland Games, War Cradle Studios, Occam Distribution, Kraken, and the media outlet on Tabletop. I'm sure this won't be a monopoly. This is a lot of the wargaming supply chain owned by one company. Battle Foam's founder says nothing changed day to day, and the brand is sticking around, which is what everyone says right before big things change. But for now, if you own foam storage for your minis, congratulations, you're Wild Holding customers too. Spirit Island's publisher shakeup. Spirit Island fans, buckle up for a saga. Designer Eric Russ confirmed he's shopping the game to a new publisher after choosing not to renew with Flat River Group, whose publishing arm, Greater Than Games, had a genuinely rough 2025. Layoffs, frozen development, the works. Flat River sold most of the catalog to Handelabra Games, but Spirit Island wasn't part of the deal because Russ owns the trademark outright. Dozens of publishers have reported reaching out, and negotiations with one unnamed company are apparently ongoing. And going well. Here's the messy part though. Russ' ownership of the existing art and iconography is legally murkier than his trademark, and Flat River's asking price to settle this is apparently too steep for him to swallow. His solution? Just commission entirely new art instead of paying up. Petty? Maybe. Understandable? Also maybe. GAMA, the organization behind Origins Game Fair, had a week. First Origins attendance actually dropped this year for the first time since the pandemic. 18,700 people, down from last year's post-pandemic record of 19,171, and still below the all-time high from 2019. Meanwhile, revenue, exhibitor space, and event count all went up, and the game library set a record for checkouts. Kind of a strange mixed bag, like the con is thriving and shrinking at the same time. Then a day later, GAMA announced its new senior communications director, Kevin Ronenbaum. Normal hire, except he's the sixth person in that job since 2020. Sixth. In 6 years. The guy before him lasted about a year and left for better pay. The guy before that lasted 6 months and publicly resigned, citing, quote, toxic leadership and rampant gatekeeping. So, genuinely good luck to Kevin and Godspeed, because at this point, GAMA comms chairs might be cursed. Pokemon TCG reveals 30th celebration lineup. And in big, shiny, nostalgia bait news, the Pokemon Company revealed the full English lineup for the 30th celebration, the set marking the franchise's 30th anniversary. Full booster set, elite trainer boxes, ultra premium collections, a pile of promo cards landing at retail in September, and for the first time ever, releasing simultaneously worldwide instead of Japan getting it months early. Small detail, but it matters. Usually the import and flip crowd gets a head start, and this time nobody does. It was covered same day by pretty much every outlet that touches Pokemon and dominated Pokemon TCG for most of the day. So consider this your official heads up that September is going to be complete chaos, and the kind of sets that's basically guaranteed to sell out instantly and show back up on eBay at triple MSRP within the hour. Now a quick break to mention my other project, Makoburn TCG, where I source and grade Disney Lorcana cards and sell them on eBay. Speaking of things that spike out of nowhere on the secondary market, like the Magic Lord of the Rings box up top, that's basically the exact game I'm playing every day, just a much smaller scale and with significantly less money on the line. If you collect Lorcana, or you're just curious what a graded Enchanted card actually looks like in hand, the eBay store is linked below. Not asking you to buy anything, just, take a look at the cards, and we'll get back to the news. All right, let's nibble through everything else that happened this week. Consider this the appetizer platter, or perhaps the chum. Haven't decided. Flesh and Blood banned Remembrance in Classic Constructed right before Pro Tour Vegas, calling it one of the most fundamental cards in the game's history, which is a polite way of saying it was doing way too much. 4 other cards got unbanned in the same update, including Skyward Serenade and Talk a Big Game, so the format's about to look very different very fast right before the biggest event of the season. Magic's June 29th banned and restricted update hit 8 cards across Legacy, Pauper, and Brawl, including a reserved list card that nearly quadrupled in price since last year. Curiously, they left the Fantasticar alone, a new Marvel card already putting up turn 1 16 damage combos in Legacy. Wizards says they're watching it. Sure. PSA's card grading backlog eased slightly, down to about 12 million submissions from a peak of 14 million. Slightly better than catastrophic is apparently still a category. Skybound, the Invincible and Walking Dead people, who also published some tabletop stuff through their interactive division, opened a new crowdfunding round after 2 straight years of losses, this time asking for much more modest $5 million instead of the $75 million they asked for last time. Revenue's actually up to $111.8 million, so it's less completely in trouble and more a company that really likes raising money. Learning is growth. Games Workshop trimmed its Warhammer 40k starter set lineup down to 2 tiers instead of 3, then days later added 2 more single-player boxes. I guess that's simplified. A new trademark filing for Mega X Mega Parade suggests Japan's next big Pokemon TCG set, though nobody's totally sure where they're squeezing it into an already packed 2026 schedule. The cooperative puzzle game, Take Time, completed a full award season sweep, picking up Austria's Game of the Year after already winning in Switzerland and getting a nod at Spiel des Jahres, quietly having an excellent year. Stonemaier announced Wingspan Pocket, a smaller, faster, more portable spin-off of Wingspan, launching at Gen Con. Same birds, way less table space required, still government drones. Restoration Games announced Thunder Road Ignition, a cheaper standalone entry point to their Demolition Derby racing line, out in October for $35. Rebellions adding an expansion to Sniper Elite, the board game called Operation Kraken about sinking an experimental Axis supercarrier. New maps, new mechanics, out July 27th. Two big wargaming YouTubers, Uncle Adam and Vince Venturella, quietly dropped their own indie wargame called Repent Ye Foolish Gods, Diablo-inspired solo or co-op, and they've already got a sequel planned for next year. And Morpheus is putting out Cohor's Cthulhu Tactics, a Roman Empire versus Cosmic Horror miniature rulebook in August for $45. If Legionnaires fighting Eldritch Horrors is a sentence that appeals to you specifically, it should. And Plaid Hat pulled their own Kickstarter for the Monolith, even though it was already funded, because momentum stalled out on day 2. They're planning to relaunch after Gen Con. See you then, Monolith. Well, that's everything for this week. If you like this, subscribing genuinely helps a small channel like this one more than you'd think. There's a button somewhere near the sentence below, probably. Thanks for watching, thanks for putting up with my jokes about foam companies, and we'll see what chaos next week brings. Talk soon.